All right, tonight's guest is a seasoned Latino, and might I add, spicy, event planner with passion for creating unforgettable experiences. He's got a dual master's in business administration and leadership, and he trained in floristry at Kohler and Dramm. Is that right? Please welcome to the studio, Ariel Gutierrez.
I feel like we should have some walk-on music, even like not
play the folk music. Yeah. But dude, welcome to the studio. First of all, we just got out of the ILEA Star Awards, and I feel like that's kind of where we have to start.
I feel like we should start first of all with like background stuff. I want to know.
Check me.
Yes, and we just realized what did we just decide that? How long have we known each other? 10 years.
About.
Okay.
Yeah.
And which seems impossible because you are not old enough for me to have known you for that long, but it's very possible actually. So, like how did you get started in events?
So in events, I started when I was a student in college. Basically, one day I was sitting in my marketing class and Jody Collin came in, guest lectured, and talked about events, event marketing, what it did for different groups of people, and I was intrigued by what that meant, and so I asked for an informational interview, and from there I joined ILEA. I was an events intern, and it just went.
And for people that are watching that don't know who Jody is,
she was on the podcast.
I know, but not everybody.
Everyone should know this.
No, yeah, exactly. Totally. You should know.
Watching.
If you didn't, go back. I don't remember the episode off the top of my head. Maybe Alex could do a search, but can you just explain kind of like who she is and like how you got connected with her?
So Jody at the time was the director of events at Augsburg. She was an international president, our chapter president at one point, the founder of the Star Awards.
She was the founder of Star Awards, amazingly. Yeah, 21 years ago, which it has progressed a lot since then.
So much.
I know. I was looking back at the photos and I was like, wow, this is what this was?
I mean, even the photography came along.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yep.
Yeah. So you met Jody. Also, when Jody was on here, Sarah Castrovel was as well. And I know you guys all worked together.
Yeah, so we all worked at the events department at Augsburg, where I used to work. And I saw them doing all the event things and learned a lot from them, and that's how we got started.
What was that informational interview like? Do you remember it?
Yes, I do remember it, because after that, after she lectured, I wrote her an email and I was like, hey, like, could you tell me more about what you do? It sounds interesting. So we met at the coffee shop at the university and we just talked. And she was like, maybe you should join ILEA. And I did. And that's where like I met Jessica and a lot of the people. I remember
you were like very shy and quiet in the beginning days. And I was like, hi.
Well, I remember going to like.
What's that?
I was just trying to say
episode 5 with Jody.
Yeah.
And Sarah.
I thought you were shushing me, and I was like, was that too loud? I'm sorry. But yeah, you were a very quiet, like shy, a little bit reserved person in the beginning, which is an interesting juxtaposition to the man that we saw last Saturday or Friday who was dancing up a storm. So
yeah. Well, yeah, I didn't know anyone. Like, you just walk into something and hope for the best.
Yeah, it is hard. I mean, especially like, I feel like the ILEA is a very welcoming group if like they know you're coming and someone's looking for you, or like, you know, but if you're brand new walking into it, it's intimidating. And it's a lot of people who know each other really well because we all work together all the time. So that can be hard.
Yeah.
So that would have been around like ILEA, like the 10th or 11th or 12th year?
No.
What year was that?
That was 2017.
Okay, so
okay.
That
was the year I was the director of Star Wars.
Yep. That was...
I know.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm like, what year though? How many years had they been doing it at that point?
13th, because it was the unluckiest batch.
13th, that's right. Yeah,
2017. Your Star Wars happened.
Did you come to it?
I didn't. No,
I think it was just before you.
Yeah, I was just leading up to ILEA by that time.
And then you just did the 21st.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We just did the 21st.
Yeah. We'll have to flash some photos or video or something on the screen, because. But like, let's talk about the theme a little bit. Like, so, it's for people that don't know, it's a gigantic event where people sponsor, like people in the events industry sponsor, like the work that they do, the stuff that they're passionate about, and it all comes together in one event, one night to celebrate us as event professionals.
Yes.
It's an award ceremony for the best events of last year. specifically. So it's a little different than some other awards things. It's not like best venue or best photographer. It's like specific events that are being nominated. And it's also a fundraiser, technically.
It is.
Yes, it does help our chapter thrive, which is nice. And I hear you raised some decent money this year.
Yeah, it was interesting to see it happen because going in through this process, like one of my goals was to generate as much revenue or for our chapter to be successful the following. That was one of.
And I was like, Ariel, I need more money for AV.
He was pulling it away from you
right?
as you went.
And so like there's things that there's zero, like little to no money with this event.
Very no
and
budget.
so like as Seven said, there were some moments where we needed more money for certain things, and I was like, okay, well, I'll pull it from somewhere. So
let me go tap dance for somebody. Here we go.
So with the fundraising piece, from the entries pieces, like with the restructure, it really helped us bring that into the event. With different sponsorships, cash sponsorships, ask. Some people you have to ask. You already know that you have a no, so you need to go get a yes somewhere.
Yeah, you gotta find one somewhere.
Yeah.
And so then it's a very small cash budget. There's a little bit supplemented by the chapter and cash sponsors, but it's mostly all in-kind sponsorships. And this year was, I think, a record-breaking year of in-kind sponsorships. Like, it's kind of bananas to talk about how much is donated for this event because I'm sure there's some nonprofits that would be like, that would literally murder for that budget, that like in-kind sponsorship. And I think part of the reason that we get it is because we, like whoever is the planning body really lets people be creative and like do things they want to do. So they're excited because a lot of us are in the industry because we like that and we like the creativity. And so like getting to like run a little amok sometimes I think helps people be more interested to spend that.
Well, it's a platform for us to like be creative outside of like a client's expectations. Like your expectations as a planner is like very different than like a client that's running a budget. Like you're still working on a budget, but it's like you also are getting in kind and the creativity. It's like a canvas for us, the ILEA Star Awards. So I wanted to ask you too, because I know there was like, it's like not like super breezy, like going through this like process.
It is
so,
not.
Talk a little bit. I even know in the beginning, because I don't even know where I was coming home from, but I got a phone call from you. We had a phone call. You want to talk about it a little bit?
Yeah,
just
no.
kind of like, because you were telling me where you were at with the venue selection.
Yeah, no, so like,
and you don't need to mention names necessarily.
No, we won't.
But let's go down that.
Yeah, the journey to get to the end is rough. It is rough in different capacities.
Reason why you're only director 1 year.
And now I get it. I get why you're only director 1 year. No, it's rough because you're trying to find like a venue. You're trying to make a committee happen that is going to be a successful committee. You're trying to
figure out the theme,
make sure that it fits with the venue. In town, our venues are very limited in size.
Because we sell out every year.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if we had 450 seats, we would fill it. I think we usually 400 has been the max that we've done. Yeah.
Yep. So like this journey is just rough from start to finish. Like one day I was calling Esther and I was like, I'm having a hard time finding a venue. I've been either they're not too big or turned away. So like it is a rough journey to start, but the end is just beautiful. We get to see like our industry thrived, your beautiful event that you produce.
It always turns out so much better than my mind is able to like
to process
in the beginning.
Well, because you only see certain parts of it, you don't see like the whole, because there's so many people involved. That is true.
It is a little bit compartmentalized when you're on a committee. Like I don't always know what all the other committees are doing. All I know is like what I know. And then
exactly.
I'm like, so
you're like, oh shit, we got a THC bar. What? You're not on food and beverage. You don't know.
Hook it right to my veins.
We did have IVs the next day.
I did have an IV. Yeah, well, we'll get there too.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is the venue also in-kind sponsorship as well?
Yes, for the most part, it has to be in order to be a true collaboration.
Yeah, and also the thing that's challenging from a venue perspective is that you're not just donating like the day of, because this is such a spectacle and such an intense like event as a whole, and also because most of the vendors working it are doing it in kind as well. Like it's hard for us to be like, you have to do the loaded in 4 hours. Whereas if you're paying them, that would be one thing to offer it. And they might have to scale back or do whatever. But in order for it to be like as fantastical as it is, we need multiple days of load in and hypothetically more than one day of load out if we can, or at least a day. That's not like midnight, of, because everybody would be drunk at that point. So it does limit, because if it's like a venue that is packed that time of year, luckily it's a slow time of year for our
industry.
But it's still challenging to find a venue that's willing to give up like 3 or 4 days of business.
And that's a hard piece with finding a venue. Like you're asking for these requirements. Like I need X amount of days on the front end, X amount of days on the back end, your event day. And then some venues have exclusive contracts, and you're dealing with caterers and AV and stuff.
We dealt with some of that this year, which in any scenario, it's going to come with some like restrictions or challenges. But I was super impressed, like how you were able to like overcome it. I actually texted you one day. I was like, is it, and this is, I shouldn't even probably say it, but I was like, is it too late to switch venues? Because like we were having some like restrictions.
We
and I was like,
it.
It's part of the theme.
Yeah.
Like this event got abducted by aliens.
No.
And now it's at this other venue.
No, definitely. Like the challenges that this event brings, man. Like you go through it. You go through
really
the ringer.
I think after you do it, after you're the director of it, you can pretty much do whatever. Afterwards, you're just like, I can do it anything. Like I can handle anything.
That's where I'm at right now. I'm like, okay, we just went through the ringer. We just went through it. Like, and there's certain things about the event that you just go through it to do it, right? Like the kabuki drop. How many meetings? How many like conversations about it did we have?
Yeah, we're like, we're gonna do it, and then we're like, no, we don't have the budget, and then we're like, well, we have the money now. Okay, let's do it. Well, do we know a vendor that has the kabuki drop thing? And we're like, okay, well, let's reach out to. That was Reach Communications, who provided like the kabuki mechanisms. And it's like
and
sourcing every little piece of that just to happen.
And then like the stage, we wanted like a Grammy stage, and so like, did we have that?
Yeah, I fought you on that. I'm like, I don't think we're gonna get a round stage.
That was a really nice stage.
It was a beautiful
I will
stage.
Say that.
It was a beautiful stage.
I was surprised when I walked in. I was like, oh, this is nice. Like a nice like demi-lume sort of stage. Staging Point did it.
Staging Point did that, and we met halfway on it because you wanted a round one, like in kind of almost the middle of the room.
Oh, that would have been hard.
But it would have been extremely hard. So, and even with audio, like it's a nightmare almost to have like a microphone in the center of the room. So we compromised and we put it against the wall, but had a rounded stage.
Finishing.
And that was a lot of fun. So
I was a little like, can I get a railing on this bad boy? I'm afraid I'm going to fall down the stairs.
That's really funny. So tell me more about the like just the process of like because I kind of mentioned the theme a little bit just a second ago, but like tell me that process, because I feel like that's like you had a very cohesive thing.
Process of theme.
Well, also, how did you get roped into it this year?
Okay, so like I was very hesitant to do it, especially after a big year.
Yeah, the 20th one was huge.
It was huge, and I was like, I don't know if I can top this. Like, how?
There is a lot of pressure to do it bigger, which I don't know. We sort of are. How do you keep going bigger than that?
How, right?
Well, like last year, what was it? $350,000 or $360 in sponsorship. And you were at 485
or something.
480.
We were when I last checked, it was 475.
Somewhere in that ballpark, which is a lot. But
so that process was the theme process. It was like, here are some things that I want to bring to the table, which I like Western culture a lot. And then I got some input from different people, like this fits you, it fits you a lot. Bree, the design and decor chair, was helpful with that. She was like, hey, you should like consider exploring this theme. And so like we meshed both of them, and then I sent you the design deck or my Pinterest board that I had for that theme, and you're like, oh, this is cool. Like,
well, you said aliens, and I was like, I'm
sold.
in. Son of a bitch.
And like, I wanted it to be very AV heavy.
And that's what you told me too. And I was like,
told you that from the very beginning.
I told you that I might say no.
Yeah, because you originally were like, I don't want to do this like this year. I need a break. And I was like, but like here are my
But
ideas.
also, but it's so hard. It is really, really hard. Like I haven't been active in it for like 2 years. Like this is like the second year that I haven't been like on a committee or something.
Do you want to be around it?
I do. I still
Yeah.
am like, dang, I want to be on a committee, but also I don't.
Yeah.
And like not this year, but the year before, they had asked me to be on one, and I was like, you know what? I like had just too much stuff going on personally. I was like, if I commit to this, I'm afraid I'll be like not in it to win it, and I don't want to because it's so huge, or I will be like disaster, like in my personal, and one or the other is gonna like give a little bit on it. So, and I think that like so 21st, it was the 21st Star Awards, and Area 21 was the theme. Obviously, Area 51.
Spin-off.
A playoff.
Yep. I think a lot of people in the beginning were like, huh?
Yeah, well, like, it's because, like, you don't know, like, and I was there, too. I was like, okay, how am I going to make this happen? And how am I going to transmit this theme to everyone from, like, your outfit to what we put out there, decor, design, food and beverage, how?
Yeah.
Until, like, I put my, like, thinking brain, started pulling ideas.
When there's 3 spaces in the venue.
Because you're also telling a story.
That's what I was getting at, too, is like you walk in, and that's when you're at Area 21.
Yep.
And then we're abducted by aliens, essentially, and that's when we go into the ceremony room.
Yep.
And then we do the whole ceremony thing. Then we had people shuffle back out into the second ballroom,
which is like Planet Ilea.
And then we're on, now we're on a different planet, essentially, and that shit was like another planet in there.
Yeah,
it was cool. It was really cool.
Yeah, no.
And then we did the kabuki drop and opened up the whole space. Yeah, and that added just like a whole other dimension and stuff to it too. So super cool. But that's how you kind of told it to me, and that's kind of how it sold me on it. And I had to compromise on that too, because like I was like, I'm like, maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't. And then I was like, if I can do a co-chair and have somebody sit on this with me.
Who was your co-chair?
Marcos.
Oh yeah, duh. With IMAV.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
One of our sponsors in the past.
Yeah. Marcos is awesome. He handled it like a beast. I also brought in Dan Schluter from AV for You. We needed multiple AV companies. Like, you can't just have one company handle such a monstrosity. Obviously, we had like 2 stages. 1 million lights.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's like one of the things that's the best about the Star Awards is that you have people who are like technically considered to be in competition with one another, but they're like collaborating so heavily on something like this and like pitching in, like, you know, you could have their things right next to each other. Like nobody's really as concerned. And like, it's hard if you're trying to go to a venue that has like exclusivity with certain things. Like it just doesn't work because
it does not work.
It's such a beast. It's like, no, you really, if you wanted this weight to be on one company, it's too much.
It is.
Yeah. But it's a double-edged sword. It's like, it's cheaper or like more cost effective for multiple people to share it, but it also opens up the door for all this collaboration that's so incredible. And like, they don't normally ever get to work together, you know?
And like sometimes like they help you get out of a pickle, right? Like we went through a situation where something that we put in reserve was not on reserve, and so we were like scrambling to get things from other people because that item that we needed for this event.
That was the AV stuff. Yeah,
like
for sure.
And there's always something though.
Yeah, right.
But nobody sees it from the outside. Like,
and then like we're like making a plan B, reaching out to people like, do you have this item in your inventory? Like we originally thought we had it, but then we don't. So now we need to like figure it out.
Yep. Yeah, that threw a little wrench in the gear for a half a day for all of us.
Yeah.
And we were on like text like the whole time.
Yeah.
Like we'd have days where we just like the AV committee, we're just like, yep, I got this, and I'd like leave my phone for like a half hour, come back
there's
like
47 messages.
28 messages, and I'm like, oh shit, now I gotta get caught up. And
the people that you work with on Star Awards definitely are like your like trial by fire, you know, forged in fire friendships from there on out, basically.
Yeah. One of the things that I am taking away from this whole thing that I just went through is that like nobody in this community will let you sink.
Yeah.
No one will let you sink, even if you feel like you're sinking.
Yeah.
Like there will always be a hand out there for you, whether it's you need something, whether you need help with something. Like there will always be someone there, and they won't let you sink. And that is one of the cool things that I personally found. to learn with this event, just because like when I was giving the event, I didn't know how I was going to do it.
It's daunting.
Because I always thought that the director had to be popular, the director had to be well known and like
You're both of those things, but
outgoing. No, yeah. But like Ariel in last March was like, how are we going to do it, right?
A little more shy, yeah.
And so then like never in a million years did I think all of these people would show up for this event like the way they did.
Yeah. I think a lot of focus gets put on like the director of it, and they obviously have a huge role in it, and they're like pushing the whole thing forward and like bringing in the right people, but it's such a collaborative event, like with all the chairs and stuff, and it's like from the outside looks like impossible, but it's like only through all those people involved that it becomes possible.
Yeah.
Like if I think it's a good lesson or like opportunity to learn like how much you also just like have to ask for help and like being okay with asking for help with things.
And sometimes that's hard, right? I'm like the type of person that doesn't like to ask for help, but there's no way you can get through this event without asking for help.
Well, you assemble like an amazing team of very talented people too, so it's like there's built-in like awesomeness and all that, like where like you said, they're not going to let you fail.
Yeah.
And like because it's their name too now.
Yeah, they're all invested in it just as much as you are.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't even on a committee, and I'm still as invested in like the Star Wars every year. I had so many people be like, "You put on a great event," and I was like, "I had nothing to do with it this year."
You're just like guilty by association.
Yeah,
now?
well, and I've done it in a lot of years in the past, and I'm on the board, so I think that also like muddies the water a little bit. I'm like on the other side.
What's your job on the board?
I'm like,
do you have a role?
I'm the VP of Programs and Education. So I plan the monthly programs. And I think that's a little bit too why it gets confusing. But so yeah, it's every time I'm like, I did nothing, but also they did a great job. Like it's so incredible. Like, yeah, and watching it from the outside is like, it's super fun. But I do sometimes be like, I wish I was crying a little out of stress right now.
What was that? I actually saw you right before you went on stage to like kick off the ceremony portion.
Yep.
I don't know if you remember that or if you do.
I do.
I do. You might not remember that because it was like you might have been.
No, I do.
Not like blackout drunk, but just like out of body experience kind of thing.
Disassociating a little bit.
But I can't remember what I told you, but I was like, dude, you're kicking ass or whatever. I was just like, get up there and do your thing or whatever. But like, what was that? Like when you get up there and you turn around, like what was the feeling?
That's like a feeling that like you just don't. I didn't know it was gonna be like the reaction.
So emotional.
The acceptance of the event. Everybody's there, like cheering you on.
They were
like,
pumped.
You just work your ass off for an entire year for this thing. Yep. So like, I just took a minute or like a moment to like take it in, because I was like, whoa. So it was like a really good feeling. A really good feeling that like whatever you just work your ass off for the entire year, it was well accepted.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Super well received, and like lots of cheers for you for sure.
And people got so into it, like thematically with their costumes.
Yeah, people were changing like 2 times.
Oh yeah, that's like a whole
I only
new thing
had
now.
one costume change, excuse me, but yeah.
I didn't change.
How many times did you change?
I just changed 3 times.
Just 3 times.
Just 3 times.
I think we should also mention that this is one of
the looks.
So
which look was it?
This is the ceremony one.
The ceremony look. Yeah.
This is like when they tell bridesmaids like you'll wear it again, and they never wear those bridesmaids just again. But this one you can, at least now you can wear it here.
Yeah.
At what moment in the event do you think you like finally like relaxed? We did it. How long?
When the ceremony was done, that was my biggest stress.
The ceremony is hard.
It's hard
because then it's just partying after that.
Yes, but no, the ceremony is hard because you're like making sure, on top of trying to get like the committee to do everything, you're also making sure that the script is right, your music is right, you're making sure that like your awards are like all are there. So like all of those pieces on top of like making sure that load in, setup happens.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I was like working up to the last minute on the script, because I was like, okay, changes, speakers like dropping, all those things.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because I stepped in last minute too.
Yeah.
To fill in for somebody that couldn't be there last minute, and so that was funny. But I had done it the last couple years.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh yeah, just throw me in.
Yeah,
Who am I with? Oh yeah, I like her. She's cool.
Yeah,
we'll do that. Yeah,
so it's all of that like building up to like that moment.
Yeah, those can be stress balls.
Yeah.
Oh shit, someone can't make it. Like, what do I do now? It's like a
Yeah.
quick pivot. Yep. That's amazing. And to talk about it too, I mean, you
Yeah.
I wanted to ask a little bit about it because I don't know how it's like who decides how it happens or how it whatever.
Yeah.
Alex wasn't able to be there that night, so I had to accept it on behalf of Event Life TV. But just wanted to say again to everybody how grateful we are, and
Event Life TV was named Partner of the Year.
Partner of the Year. But yeah, tell me more about
Yeah,
how that came.
So how the selection for the Partner of the Year, Volunteer of the Year,
and
Legacy Award are selected by the Board of Directors. It is an anonymous vote. We ask who we think could
put
be
forward
a good
some submissions of who it could be.
Who could be a good recipients for these awards, and then they send out a form and it gets anonymously voted on.
Wow.
And that's how that happened.
Cool. Wow. Thanks again.
Yeah, I mean, well deserved. Event Life TV, very supportive of monthly programs and the Star Awards and everything for the last couple of years. So yeah. And who's the Volunteer of the Year?
Nick Peter.
Oh, that's right.
Who took on entries and awards this year.
Yep.
And he's been part of it for years.
Yes,
oh yeah, he's been the president at times. Like, he's done everything on the board probably.
But this year it was insane with all the 90 entrants we got. And like, I and him and the awards team were not ready for that.
Yeah, I mean, this was a record number of
entrants.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the most we've had in the past was like 50.
Wow.
I remember I was in Texas that January 31st. And I was looking at numbers.
I think you told me this story.
Yeah, right. I was looking at numbers and I was just like, oh my God, we're at 50. Oh my God, we're at 60. Oh my God.
And it's literally like the last 4 hours before the deadline. Like ding, ding.
And
yeah,
then,
and 5 people that I talked to, they're like, yeah, I submitted it like 2 minutes before the deadline.
Every year it's like that. Every year.
And then like I'm up at midnight when it's about to close and we're like at 90 and I was like, holy cow. And so I text Nick at midnight. I'm like, Nick, are you seeing what I'm seeing? He's like, yes, I'm seeing what you're seeing. This is so cool.
Yeah.
But like, holy, it was like a lot.
It's so funny because I forgot. I submitted mine like 2 weeks before. I was really proud of myself. I actually got it done beforehand. But I have in the past. Well, actually, I've only submitted like once before. So the one time I did it before, I submitted like the last possible second. But because of being involved in the past, I get a lot of phone calls and text messages and emails that night of people being like, I can't get this to work. And I was like, I can't help you. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of like email forwarding, like, you got this? Okay, here you go.
So that's it was just a beast because nobody saw it coming.
Well, I mean, that was you did make that your goal. Your goal was like streamline it, make it a little bit easier, less friction on becoming an entrant or entering. And so like so it worked out.
Like,
I mean, it
went
double whammy success story. Whammy.
Yeah. I mean, actually, and I, like I said, I've only submitted once before, and it was years and years ago. I think it was like 2014 maybe or something. I don't even know if it was then. It's been a while, but it was pretty easy. I honestly thought it was pretty easy. Like, it's a lot of writing. Just going to move that and stop doing that. But it is like, once you understand, like, you're just trying to answer these questions and like, what were your goals and objectives, and like explain how you met them, and it's like an essay in college basically.
Well, you won one, right?
I did. I submitted for 3. I was nominated in all 3 categories, and I did win in one of them. So I was surprised, very pleasantly surprised.
Hell yeah.
What was the award?
I won for Best Public Event. So it was for a conference that we all did together back in August, NFT NSP Culture Convergence. And it's kind of like funny because there were things about that did not go as well as they could have or that we wanted them to. But like at the end of the day, the goals and objectives that we set for ourselves, we did meet those. And so it was just explaining like, we didn't have great this, but then this was perfect. And like, going through that process and like, being super transparent about all of it. Like, we didn't get everything, but we met all the goals that we had for it.
Yeah.
And
well, you were up on like what 2.5 week notice to like
13 days
13 days to come in and like take over planning. That was nuts. And you're like, Esteban, you think you want to do this?
Oh no, I mean, and this is like, I said this in my acceptance speech, but this is like it's so true, which is that like So yeah, so I got
which I missed, by the way,
did
because
you?
I was
Well,
at the
I'll
bar.
recap it right now.
Yes, please.
You were at the
please do.
bar?
Yeah, of course. I missed him introducing Event Life TV as
That's
the.
so
I missed
funny.
all of it because,
Oh
like,
my God.
at a certain point, I don't know, somebody's talking, and I get pulled away, and then
Yeah, it
I'm at the
happens,
bar
it
trying
happens.
to hassle them for like a drink because they're
Of course,
closed.
they're like closed. Yeah, because this is why. Because our industry sucks with sitting down for more than.
I need
5
like
minutes.
a backpack next year with the straw.
Oh yeah, we should just get everybody gets a hat with like a little
Yes,
thing
that's-
next
The
year.
two beverages on the
Yeah.
top and
They
the little
had
doing
straw.
that
out
next.
drinks. Like they had drinks.
I know.
throughout
I
the-
grabbed those too on the
Oh
cart.
my God,
Yeah.
funny. No, what I was saying was like, yeah, the TLDR about the event was like that someone else is planning it and things didn't work out the way they should have, and so they had a choice of either like not doing the event altogether or just like plowing forward, and like it was only maybe 20% done at that point, and this is 13 days before, and I was like, okay, and the people that I called were people who were in the room that night, like Event Life TV and like Omar and
IMAV.
IMAV, yep. And just all these people, most of whom I have connections with through ILEA. And I knew that I could like depend on them and I could call them and they wouldn't just like laugh hysterically and hang up the phone. Because I was like, hey, you want to put on a 3-day festival in 13 days or 10 days or whenever it was. And like it's those connections and those like relationships that are built in this organization that like make us as great as we are a lot of times. So
Yeah.
that was basically it.
So that was the speech?
Yeah, more or
Okay,
less.
okay.
And like, well, and just like whatever
I want to hear it verbatim.
whatever you put into ILEA, I feel like for me has always come back tenfold. And so like I'm always excited to like be able to be part of it because I know that whatever I put in, I'll get back.
Yeah, I think Alex and I can attest to that too. A lot of our success, and I think the collaboration has brought us kind of everything that we've been able to accomplish thus far. Whether it's the connections or like friend of a friend or a connection of a connection or whatever. Yeah, we have some things in the pipeline that are 100% because of our involvement with ILEA and the Star Wars. So, but yeah, that's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thus ends our commercial first. ILEA.
Yes.
But it's real talk, and that's like how that's how we met the first time.
Yep.
I've actually hired a handful of people that I met through ILEA, like for
Yep.
different positions, because that's how I met them. And I just had a lovely conversation with some girl who she actually like found the podcast and was listening to it, which I thought
Yeah,
was
you
so nice.
you met somebody.
I
you
know, and
said.
I was like, what? But she has come to some ILEA things too, and like I am gonna have her come hopefully to our next April program as well, so she can meet some people where I can introduce her, so it's not so scary because it is intimidating.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to. You said real talk, so I was like, let's talk for real now.
Real talk.
Do you guys ever have like these because like when you do this event, I kind of mentioned it to you maybe. We have these extreme highs.
Oh my God!
And
Did you get the SADs after?
So I've been experiencing like the highs and lows because I used to perform like music and I always had like these amazing evenings or whatever, and just like that high you get from like performing or like doing something that's like a dream kind of like come true. I don't necessarily like identify it as like SADs or like what did you call it?
I just said you got the SADs after. Like
No, I don't know, but like I just have like this extreme like calmness that I kind of associate as kind of a borderline sadness.
Oh yeah, I get a letdown real bad. So I think that once you have done events long enough, hopefully people like figure out what their rhythm is with that. And so if it's a really, really big event, I have to like give myself a lot of grace for like the next 2 days because I'm like an emotional basket case. I was like crying talking to somebody and I was just like, I don't know why I'm so sad. And I was like, actually, I do know why I'm sad because I had a lot of adrenaline and now it's gone. So, and then like you're tired, you're not sleeping as well, like all the things. Like, did you have a little letdown afterwards?
I had a big letdown.
Crash, yeah.
I did. Like, cause like
the
it's
endorphins all go.
it's
Yes.
just such an emotional journey,
Yes.
right? Like especially Star Wars is like the biggest emotional journey like you'll get on, just because your emotions get pushed to the limit, right? Like they are things that you don't think you could feel that you start to feel. So like yes, I did have that letdown. Like that's why I like pushed myself away as much as I could the following days after.
Good, which you should. Yeah, that's smart.
Just because I'm like, I need to like process what just happened.
Yeah.
I went to Coffee with Nick on Tuesday. I'm like just crying to Nick.
Damn.
I mean, but that's real. Like, it takes a few. I have a friend who is not in the industry, but she is like the executive director of a nonprofit, and they did a big gala, and she posted something on Instagram about how she felt the next day. And I was like, oh, babe, I was like, here's why you feel that way. I was like, everything was great. Your event was fantastic. Like, nothing was wrong. You feel that way because you had this intense adrenaline spike and everything was amazing. And you were on this high. And now every piece of that, like all those endorphins have like whisked away in your body and you're left with nothing but a shell of a human being. So I was like, that's why. She's like, oh my God, you're right. And I'm like, yep. So it's a real thing.
That's why I wanted to bring it up, because I feel like, no, I have never heard anyone really talk about it, I guess, but I've been experiencing it for so long.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, am I the only
one
going through this?
I don't think I recognized it until like maybe the last like couple years, where suddenly I realized I was like, oh, that's why I feel like garbage. I used to call it like an event hangover. Like,
that's what I call it.
Yeah, because
It's a good way to say it.
Like, even if I wasn't drinking, like I feel hungover the next day, and it's like, why do I feel like this? And it's like, oh yeah, because
you just pour your heart and soul into this thing, and now it's done.
Yeah.
I felt a little brain dead.
Oh yeah, that too though.
I did drink, and then I had that.
Clearly, you were at the bar when I was tipping my.
I was at the bar the whole night, I guess. It was hilarious though too, because I was like waiting. I was talking to a couple people, and they're like, "Esteban, you got to get up there. They're called your name. They've been waiting for you."
Oh, no.
Apparently, there was like 2 minutes that went by.
Oh no,
and
I
it was
missed
like,
all of this.
Like, I was thinking of like a game show. They're like, "Where is he?" You know, like I was at the bar. Yeah, exactly. And then
I
know
where to look for you next
I
time.
started like running up there. It was freaking hilarious. But
really
sorry I missed your speech.
No, you're good.
I had to go back and read the script. Yeah. So I was like, what did he say?
Oh, I haven't heard it yet either. I missed a good chunk after my award because you have to go out and like take a photo and stuff. And I decided like that was my opportunity to go do my costume change.
Yep.
And then my bag got, not that it got lost, but it got a little buried in coat check because it was like a fuzzy bag next to a fuzzy coat and just looked like the same thing. So it took me a while to get my stuff and then change, and then I came back and I was like, I missed it. I missed your whole thing. Yeah.
That's funny. We miss each other.
When Esteban told me about how we got the award, because he sent me a text, I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I'm like, that's pretty cool. And then I like thought about it a little bit more. I was like, it's actually really cool. I really appreciate it. That's really nice.
I mean, you're up against like some pretty like amazing people in the industry, and like literally like all of us were like, no, these guys deserve this. Like, you've done a lot for us. And
he told me, he's like, man, I wish you were there, because I didn't know what to say. I was like, dude, I was not gonna be able to help you. I would say the wrong thing.
Yeah, I was like, I wish you were up there, because you would have like gave me something that I would have like been able to look at you and think of like something to say
words.
or something. Because I didn't know what to say. I was like,
It's hard though. Like, I was not expecting to win the one that I did. Like, because there's a lot of the other two in that category were really, really good. And I was just like, oh, like I got up there and I think I like blacked out a tiny bit, but it's hard to on the spot if you aren't expecting it or don't know what's going to happen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard, especially when like the competition is so fierce.
Yeah.
In all your categories.
Yeah,
it's
I know.
Tough.
The best logistics one was the one I was kind of hoping to win, just simply because like the logistics of that conference were so hard. But then I was like, oh, I'm competing against like Ultimate Events having like a week-long hockey situation with a bunch of tents and all these different things. I was like, yeah, okay, that's.
I guess that wins.
I guess. I can let that one slide, I guess. But I don't remember what the other one was and who I lost it to. But whatever. No, it was very cool.
So like cohesiveness on, or like committee cohesiveness.
Okay.
The fight within us all.
I was like, wait, was there like a
no.
Just
it's because how he described it earlier. Just because like I think well let's just say it how it kind of is, but like there's always like a struggle between certain departments AV
decor and AV.
And then yes.
Like,
I wanted to be a little bit like whatever,
I don't think that
let's just say what it is. Yeah,
I don't think there's anything wrong with admitting that that's always a struggle, and it's not because either party is like being difficult or either party is being like in the wrong. It's just simply that you have competing interests in a very small space in a very small time frame, and like both of you want to succeed, and that is like, what's wrong with that? But except that it's hard.
Yeah, no. So I was telling Ariel the one day, I was like, we got to do like a meeting before the meetings begin.
Yeah.
And have like a general idea of like what each of us is trying to accomplish. Although they maybe don't have theirs dialed in. Like AV, we can kind of get an idea. Like we were like, because we knew we were going to do projection mapping. So then when we're doing that, but then they're like, oh, but we're going to hang this 6-foot ball in front of that or whatever. It wasn't that exactly.
And that's like, it's the decentralization of information can make that sort of stuff challenging. I mean, that happened the year that I was director too, and where we like had planned this whole elaborate screen or ceiling installation. And then Dale with Freestyle was like, well, how am I projecting? And I was like, oh.
I think you need that though.
Yeah.
So that's my point, I think, that I want to make, is that you need, like, even Alex and I, we have different things that, like, we're good at, or different opinions about a way something should be. So what I think it does is kind of sharpen the blade at the end of the day.
Sharpen steel.
Yeah, so it's basically like, you almost want not some pushback, but you want some differing opinions, and then it kind of polishes it in a better way than, like, if one person just stomped on everything else.
And then you work through it. Like, that's one of the things, like, we did. Like, we worked through every single thing to make sure that everyone had what they wanted.
As close as possible.
And we met halfway.
Yeah.
There's some things that could not be done. And I was like, well, we have to meet halfway some way, somehow.
Yeah, you have to sacrifice some things sometimes.
And so, like, that's one of my big, like, things that I'm really proud of, that there were a lot of issues through the process, but we all met halfway. And it was just like, okay, this is what's going to be best for the event, and this is what we're gonna do as a team, even if we have to sacrifice some things. And everybody, I think, got most of what they wanted for this event.
I also think that, like, it's good to challenge people in a way that, like, obviously if you are walking into something without, like, a lot of not a lot of frills and whistles, bells and whistles, whatever, you're going to choose, like, the most direct path. Like, not that I'm saying, like, the easiest, but why not, right? It's the easiest way to do this thing is this, right? It's a front projecting whatever and this. But then if
Don't simplify it, yo.
Yeah. I'm not, but I can't. That's why I'm not even going to say it.
I'm like, you're offending me right now. Just kidding. I'm totally
ready to, like,
I'm totally
fight.
kidding. No, I'm not. I just being facetious.
And it's like, you're not taking, like, the easy way out, but you are going to take the simplest path, right? Like, if it was a less complex event, but this, like, forces people to, like, really think outside of, like, what their norm would be, and really it's not for the inflexible. Like, it isn't for somebody who is super rigid about the ways they want to do things, because it just won't work. Like, you can't be super rigid about it. Like, you have to figure out a way to work around things.
I got to give mad credit to, first of all, Marcos from IMAV, but also Dan. Dan handled himself so well. Because Dan Schluter from AV for You. But so well presented through some of the chaos of, like, because that room had a lot of stuff in it. He's like worried about people tripping over some things, and I was like, dude, it's decor, not your department. Don't even worry about it.
Don't borrow trouble,
and
baby.
he did, and he didn't worry about it. But he, Dan really took the reins on, like, every detail of both rooms, essentially. Marcos as well, but, like, Dan was, like, on the floor measuring, like, here's where the dance floor is going. Because somebody might just set it, like, 2 feet different.
You have to be very precise.
He was so precise. Where that's why I just gotta give him a shout out, Dan. For kicking ass.
He won an award too, didn't he?
He AV for You, I think, won an award. One of his events. Shoot, it's escaping.
Like AV something.
Yeah, the production. The audio production.
Production.
He was
AV
really
production,
proud of that event too, and I think that was heavily projection mapping as well. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's like simultaneously has to be incredibly precise and also very fluid, which is, like, not easy to accomplish both those things. And to, like, for people, especially, like, in our industry where people can be super perfectionist sometimes, or, like, and rightfully so, they care a lot about, like, their corner of it, their piece of it, and that's, like, part of what makes it magic. But also you have to care about it, but then also be aware of everything else, and like, and it's not a centralized, like, information track. Like, there's no one person. Even if you're the director, you're not just, like, the one person in charge. You're not a dictator, right? So it's all of those elements is what makes it amazing and so fucking hard. Like, both of those things at the same time. Like, there's nothing about the Star Awards that's not just, like, a dichotomy. Like, there's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you take any element away and it's like not the same. So it's like you take a AV away, obviously it's not even a party.
Not on this one.
But you take all the decor away too, and now it's
Yeah.
just lights and a stage or whatever.
Which is cool, but it's not the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the crazy stuff that they had for the decor was just wild. And it's you can't even take all of it in. Like some of it I'm seeing in retrospect, like with photos and stuff, and I'm like, oh my God, I missed that thing. That's incredible.
Yeah.
And even though I didn't see it, it was still really like cool to see afterwards. So
Yeah, and there's like things that you're like, I didn't see that, or I didn't know that was gonna happen,
Right.
or I didn't
was
see
at
that
the bar.
coming. Yeah, because even like looking back,
Sorry. There was a few things
Me?
I missed because I was at the bar, so I can't judge.
yeah,
I also heard that there was like the slushy machine didn't work or something, and somebody had to drive to Eden
Yeah.
Prairie to get a slushy machine the day
Yeah.
of. Yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't even
it
know
was
there
the
were
day
slushies.
before when
Day
it
before.
wasn't working, and so we were like, hey, do you have a slushy machine? Like we can
For
like.
Egan, I think, right? They went to Fun Jump to get it, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, they did, and they're like, yeah, come pick it up, and so we went.
Kim went down there and picked
Where
up
the hell were those? I didn't get one of them.
I
Yeah,
got one
there
of
was-
those.
yeah.
They were delicious and very sticky. I had to like put it down and go wash my hands because it was like sloshing it everywhere.
I do remember getting a Jello shot on a
Yeah.
plate, and I had to like lick it
that.
off the plate because it was like stuck to it. Or whatever. It was not a good sight. It looked super graphic. Yeah.
Well, now we're all thinking about it. It wasn't
Exactly, yeah.
before, but now we are.
Yeah. I'll say less. Yeah. Shit.
We embarrassed us about-
Oh, that's really funny. I'm gonna cry. I wanted to jump into how fucking amazing the after party was, or just both parties.
Both
like,
parties
after
were-
ceremony, like shit got turned up, like
Yeah.
pretty.
People let loose on this one.
Yeah.
I mean, they
They always do.
It's
but,
always like it's people who like are behind the scenes don't like. Obviously, some of us party and do whatever, but like doing it together is one thing, and then also like all the people that were on committees that have just gone through this really intense emotional experience. Like, it's very easy to like let loose at
Yeah.
that point. Yeah.
I kept telling Benny Nord, he did the first DJ set. I was like, go hard, dude. Go hard. They put so much time into these lights and shit, and it's like a dope stage. Go fucking hard. And then, so like, he texted me after the event. He's like, dude, you were so fun to work with that day or whatever. And then I was like, yeah, man, go hard. And just like, that's our thing now. So Benny did a killer job. Omar
He did.
sessions.
Yeah, they killed it.
Dude.
They killed it. Yeah.
Omar was on another level that
Yeah, he
night,
was,
like performance wise.
There was like one recap video of like all the vendors who were like dancing, and I was like, oh wow, I look like a insane person. Like cool. But I mean, you're like in the moment, you're having fun. Like,
yeah.
When you were dancing, you said?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't see any of me in anyone's photos of dancing, and I was like, thank God.
Thank God.
Because there was like those little pedestals
Yeah.
that the dancers were on, and I'm like dancing, and I like stepped backwards, and I tripped over the motherfucking thing, and like 6 people saw me, and they saw my eyes be like, I'm going down.
Yep.
It's happening.
Yeah, and I just fell right on my ass, and I swear to God, I think like Ashley Sky or whatever turned around, and she just like laughed at me, and then kept dancing, and I was like, fuckers. And then like 3 people came and helped my big ass
Yeah.
up. So, fuck. But I didn't spill my drink.
And you didn't fuck up your knee again or your ankle or whatever. Like
No, I was like Trailer Park Boys, Julian. My drink, I flipped the car, dude, and still had my drink in my hand.
it's impressive.
But yeah, so what was your favorite thing of the night? That might be hard to say,
No,
but
I-
can you narrow it down to a couple things?
Yes. So I had a couple favorite things. Number one was seeing everybody have a lot of fun.
Yeah, they had the best fun.
Seeing like the kabuki drop.
That was a grand moment.
That
And
was-
I'm so glad we did it.
Yes.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
It's
that-
always like a anticipation too, because I think there was like you always kind of delay it. Like you make them
Yeah.
wait for it. Everyone had their phone out.
Yeah.
It's kind of like and I was on the other side where there was nobody almost
Yeah.
because it wasn't open yet.
Right. I
So I
missed
was-
it. I probably was at the bar.
I-
But I mean, and I don't know if we need to say this for anyone who maybe doesn't know what it is, even if you're in events, because they're not that common, but it's like basically a hydraulic, like,
Curtain that drops.
yeah, it's like connected with hydraulic clips so that the whole thing can drop at once.
Yep.
It's very dramatic. And there's like a sound that goes with it that like kind of,
It's
Yeah.
like a mechanical like.
yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it feels, it's a really great reveal moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yes, the kabuki drop was one of my favorite things. And then
it was one of the first things you told me, like, Esteban, we needed a kabuki drop.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, what else?
And then
what are we doing even?
Yeah. You're like, okay.
And then I was going through my camera roll, and I had a video of someone saying, "Is that a kabuki drop?" Yeah, it's a fucking kabuki drop. And I was like, yes,
That's
is
so
what I'm taking
funny.
with me.
Why is that? But I feel the same way about them. Like, I don't know why it's such a thing, but like, I love them.
It's such a big reveal, and that's like kind of our industry. Even like the room reveal for like a couple getting married, when they come back in the room, all those reveals.
Yeah.
Client seeing the room for the first time, like that's what kind of the shit we live for. Actually,
That's true. And it's dramatic, I think, which is super fun.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
And then like the last thing that I was really happy about was to see everybody's work on the committee come to life. Because like that committee worked, and they worked really hard to make that event to be what it was, right?
Yep.
So I was really happy to see everyone's work come to life. I was really happy to see everyone on the committee be happy and proud of what they put out there.
Yep.
That was my biggest thing, like to make sure that like the committee felt like the time, effort, and energy that they just poured into this thing
that
was
they didn't
worth.
get paid for, right?
Yeah, because
I mean that's hard,
and that's hard, right?
Yeah.
Because no one is paid for.
Yep.
You spent time, energy, effort, making sure that it is the best of the best.
Right.
And then like that was one of my favorite things to see everybody be happy with what they put out there. Also shout out to all of them. Thank you for all of that. I know that it's a lot, especially like Jessica said, to do it for $0.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
you do it for a handful of photos.
Yeah,
Maybe,
and
maybe a clip in a video, and the experience and the friendships and
the friendships and the connections that you make, which I don't think necessarily, if you haven't done it before, not everybody knows that you're getting into that part of things or that it's going to be like that. But I also think, and somebody just pointed this out to me the other day, and it was kind of like a powerful realization for me, where they were saying that like that what we do for a living, like what I do for a living, he said was like a very exaggerated form of acts of service. And so, and I was like, oh, I mean, yeah.
We're giving them an experience.
Yeah. And so it's like you're doing this acts of service often for like people you don't know or your clients or whatever, but doing it for each other.
So is that our love language?
I mean, the love language thing is bogus, but yes.
I've always thought that.
Yeah.
I was like, this bullshit.
I won't go into some of the background about it, but yes, it is. And also, but two things can be true at once, right? So
totally.
like the acts of service thing, I think there's a difference between doing it for someone else for their purposes and doing it for ourselves.
Yeah.
And like that is, I think, like some of what is so lovely about it.
Yeah.
So
because you're doing it for, and that's one of the things that I think about. Who are we doing this for, right?
Mm-hmm.
And any single time I have an event, I'm like, who is it for?
Mm-hmm.
Specifically with this one, the stakes are high because of who it's
for us, right? And also, like, we've seen a lot, and like you have to really sort of do a lot to. I mean, you do and you don't. Like, you can do a kabuki drop, we're all happy, like, great, but you still have to like really push the envelope, and that's part of the reason that we sell out every year, right? Is because it always pushes the envelope. I mean, there's people who fly in from other states to come to it. Like, it has a reputation at this point, which is a double-edged sword.
It is.
And now it makes it, I think it's getting continually harder for people to agree to be the director because it is so daunting sometimes. But
yeah, like I know someone on the committee was like, oh my God, I don't know like what next year is going to look like. We're going to have to go somewhere.
You never know.
Like, I don't know. Like,
no one ever knows.
Are we not saying yet who?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Oh, it's not announced. Okay.
Mm-mm.
I'll shut my mouth because
I almost did too. I almost was like, yeah.
I already got approached. They're like, hey, AV dude next year.
I mean, like, I will say that the thing that is also amazing about the Star Awards is that it is, while it is insane every single year, it does get refined every single year too. So like the year that I was a director, like we didn't used to have like the past presidents stay on as a member, a committee member, and like help out with things.
It's a smart thing to do.
We started doing it the year after because I was like, I think that maybe you just should have somebody who helps.
You almost need that even on the AV side or something. Yeah. That's why I was like, I need Marcos or somebody, like, because we got to grow this
information
thing.
Is like, it's like in general, like what's the best thing that you can have going into an event? History, right?
Yep.
Knowing how it's been in the past, what you've done in the past, and it is one of the, if you're not burdened by what has been done in the past, that can be a benefit, but it also can be a drawback if you don't have all the information and like if it's not a centralized thing. And yeah, we didn't have that position on the board or on the committees. And like, there are certain things that like weren't, you know, like no one was saving certain things in like Google Drive where they could share it with you. And like, I think I got a PDF of like the script and was like, oh, I got to rewrite that then, like retype it, stuff like that, you know? So, which makes perfect sense. But now it's like, oh no, we're going to send you a document so you can copy and paste some shit. Like, here you go.
Definitely. And that's one of the things that one of my last goals as a director is to document that process and do a manual for the next director so that like they know what they're walking into. They know the challenges we face this year. They know how to like make it better.
I think that every year people are like, I'm going to document this for the next, and then, but you're the one person that I think might actually do it.
Oh, no, it's done.
Oh,
it's
shit,
done.
of course it's fucking done.
Like, I just need to, like, there's a table of contents. There's, like,
Never
piece
mind.
by piece.
So organized.
Yeah, I'm not surprised because I've gotten some of the stuff from you and I was like, what in the world? You have got your shit together. This is amazing.
So no, it's done. I got, on Monday, I was like, I'm going to start working on this so it gets done. And so, like...
And when it's fresh in your mind.
Yep, so it's built out. I just need to finish it up and share it with a couple people for a second pair of eyes. But that's one of the things, right? Like, sometimes things don't have to be as difficult.
Right.
If
as
you
we
can,
make
like,
them.
as we make them, right? And so that's one of my last goals. And I told the committee, I was like, hey, if you have any feedback, I will be sending you a nice form so that you can put it in there and I can put it in the section that it's going to go in so that the next person can make this event better.
Well, and like, yeah, having all that legacy information is amazing. And I think that's great. Like the one thing I'm very proud of is like that we instituted doing the past president after mine. Cause I was like, somebody should just be who knows what the fuck they're doing and can help them through. But that is like huge to have that to hand down to people. So.
Yeah, and that's, cause it should not be this hard.
I mean, there's certain things that we're like, we're our own worst clients sometimes for sure. So yeah.
So you directed this year. Talk about some of the other things that you've been part of as far as like committees and stuff.
Yeah.
To get to this point.
So to get to this point, it took a nice 7 years. I've volunteered. I've been the volunteer chair. I was the volunteer chair for 3 years.
Yeah, I was gonna say you did that for quite a while.
Yeah, I did it for 3 years. To understand the event. I've helped wherever I could.
You did production or like what is it called?
Entertainment.
No. You did like stage production, like stage calls and
I
stuff.
helped with stage management as well. So I went up and around with this event, right? And then I thought I had it. I'm like, I
know, right?
But you don't know. You don't know until you're in that chair.
Castina she said the same thing because she was like, you didn't warn me. And I go, you watched me do this. She lived with me when I was doing it. I was like, you saw me like crying over this shit and like watched me like I was like working until 3:00 in the morning doing something. I was like, how did you not know? And she's like, you just don't know till you're doing it.
No, yeah. And so I thought I had it. I was like, I got this. And you don't. Nope. You don't until you're in it and you are in those shoes and it's hard and you're crying.
And you're like begging. You're like, finally, I'll break down and ask for help. Not begging because everybody gives it willingly, but you are finally like willing to like be like, okay, I need help on this, which is not always easy.
Yeah. So no, it took a good chunk of time to get there, but we got there. And now that it's done, I'm like, okay, I'm glad I did it. Yeah. I'm glad like I was able to give my very best as much as I possibly could to this event. Yeah. I'm leaving really happy. Yep. I really am. Yeah.
But what's the next goal is my question.
It's like my real job.
Should I get paid for it? I actually thought of it too. I don't think we mentioned what your job is right now.
We didn't, but we should. Let's finish this and then I want to hear more about what you like. I don't know how far we are into this, but we should talk about what you really do and get paid for.
Yeah. I don't know what's next. I don't know where we're going, and I don't know how we're getting there.
I mean, you're gonna have to just get on the board at some point here, right? It's a gateway.
Yeah.
It either goes one way or the other. I feel like you either are on the board and become a director or the other way around.
Yeah. No. So I don't know where we're going next. I'm taking a little break.
Yes, as you should.
I'm gonna go live somewhere on an island. I don't know where. Whatever that means.
Yeah. Mine was just a mental island.
Yeah. So I'm gonna take a little break just because we just went through like the highest roller coaster of emotions.
Yeah. Well, and also technically you don't have to, but you're going to be the past president next year. So you're going to be helping whoever it is that's running it.
Yeah, you'll still be tied to it.
Still be stuck there for a little bit. And then after that, maybe move into something else.
Yeah. No, and like I'm excited for that because then I get to see them do what they're doing next
Yeah.
and
hopefully help them.
refer to that manual that I'm writing right now and be like, did you read section 1 of the venue
Addendum
piece?
4, Index 5. Yes, please
No, yeah.
refer to that.
Per your last email. Give him that one.
I love it.
So, yeah, where are you working now?
Yeah, what do you do?
So I work at the Minneapolis Downtown Council in the Community Impact Team under their events umbrella. And so I help plan events for downtown, for the community, and we do a different kinds of events, big and small.
And Megan Gustafson, is she your direct?
She is my
Okay.
boss. Yes.
Megan Gustafson has been on here
All right,
as
so
well.
yeah.
Yep.
Episode
3, maybe?
4, I want to say.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
3 or 4.
Yeah. Which she's amazing. So like you've
Yeah.
had some
I've had-
amazing managers
Like,
in your days.
super good connections.
Yeah.
Yeah,
my
I've had
gosh.
some of the best event coaches
Yeah.
that you could
Yeah.
ask for, right? There's
Absolutely.
Jody, there's Sarah,
Episode 3, Megan Gustafson.
Again, I was like, wait, what? Did I do something
Megan now. So like I've
Yeah.
had some of the best event people to learn from, which I am very lucky and blessed to have been in the path whenever I was there.
Well, and you also like were ready to grab it and went with it. And
Yeah.
like, yeah, you looked, I mean, you reached out to Jody, you went for it. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, which is awesome.
How long have you been in this role?
About a year and a half.
Nice. So the Basilica thing?
No,
No,
she,
no.
This is,
That's a different thing?
That's when she was at the Basilica.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, no, this is
Gotcha.
downtown. So it's like, they do stuff on PV Plaza. They do
a Nicollet Mall,
Mall.
Okay.
Aquatennial,
Cool.
They do the
Holodazzle.
that big
Aquatennial, that's what I
yeah,
was thinking.
Aquatennial and Holodazzle are the
Yep.
big ones, but also the big, I don't remember what it's called. I want to say investors, but that's not the word. Not shareholders.
Yeah, the annual meeting.
Annual meeting.
Yep.
Thank you. I was like,
Yeah, so
there's a word that I'm missing here somewhere. The annual
Yeah.
meeting, which is a big, and I feel like that one isn't as public, so like it doesn't get as much credit. But like
yeah,
I've been to it.
What is it?
The annual meeting. So it's like the downtown council puts on this annual meeting. It's bonkers. Like
yeah,
it's like a little bit of a like lunchtime professional Star Awards, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. So, because how many people come to that?
About 1,000 people.
Yeah.
It's a seated
Dinner or lunch.
a lunch.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, and like, didn't they have like aerialists and stuff last year?
Last year
Yeah.
we had aerialists.
Yeah, it's like a production.
Yeah.
But it's not like as widely known or something. Even though
No.
there's 1,000 people there, I don't know, but it's pretty amazing. What like, I mean, professionally, what do you see yourself doing in a couple of years, or like, what do you want to do?
I like big events. I like large scale events. I am trying to like learn as much as I can within that world of large events. Like I said, I don't know where we're going or where life is gonna put you.
Yeah.
You were in Vegas recently. I think you said something about like learning some valuable things about events. Did I make this up?
You sure did make
He's
that
like,
up.
Did I
I was
really?
like,
I thought
I've
you-
seen
were
your
you not in
location
Vegas
tags.
recently?
You was Dallas and like,
yeah, I was in Vegas, but
Oh, you were.
I wasn't like learning about events.
Oh, okay. Then I'm fucking making it up.
Yeah.
I turned 40 this year, so I'm
Oh,
old. It slips
luck.
my mind. Yeah.
I'm also old, and I embarrassed the hell out of myself at Star Wars. You guys missed it because you weren't there, but I have I don't wear my contacts ever, and I just got bifocals. You guys, it
Were
was
you in the dark?
embarrassing.
In
I
the
was
fog
very
and in the
embarrassing.
dark.
So I had my contacts on, and I wasn't thinking about the fact that I would have to read the script in front of me, and I couldn't read it. Like, I literally could not read it. So I was like, I'm like, does anyone have any cheaters in the room? And Josh Rutan brought me some. Thank God, from AB for You. I genuinely could not read the script. It was terrible.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Need a translator up there.
Now I have to, if I'm going to wear my contacts, now I have to wear cheaters like I'm a 70-year-old lady. We are.
It's funny. Well, I think we can wrap it there. Unless you want to give any shout outs to some of your ILEA peeps and
No, just my Star
Just
Wars committee.
everybody. Yep.
You're Taylor.
Thank you. Thank you for everything that you did over the past year to make this come to life. Like, thank you is not even the right word. I don't know, like, how many times I'll say that, but, like, thank you.
And also shout out to your tailor, whoever made your jacket.
It's
It was
awesome.
custom for this, wasn't it?
Oh,
Or
you
like
didn't
you
even
had
put the
it.
hat on. You got to put the hat on.
Yeah.
You got to put the hat on. Though.
I know.
For
I was
this
like, you
thing.
went to Texas to get this.
Oh,
So
that's
we
a
need to-
real one.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
real.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, was it the hat that you went to Texas for, or the whole thing? The whole thing.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't feel like we have those jackets laying around in Minnesota anywhere, but I could be wrong. What do I
haven't
know?
Seen them. No, that's awesome. You guys have any questions about the AV side of Star Wars or anything like that before we let them go?
That honestly might be a whole conversation in
That's
itself.
Yeah.
The AV part
You
of
got
it.
2 more hours? No.
Yeah.
Ariel, thanks so much for coming on. It's obviously a great pleasure to like work with you and see you grow. And see, like, Alex and I filmed you one year a little bit, and I remember just how shy you were on the
Yeah.
camera, and now you're killing it, and like you're even here, and I feel like it doesn't even faze you anymore.
No,
So it's cool to see, and it's awesome to know you, man. So appreciate everything
you
that
for-
you're doing for the events community, and yeah, so
Thank you for having me.
It was our
Absolutely.
pleasure.
absolutely, thank you. Thank you for watching the podcast. Hit the like and follow button to stay updated on our latest episode. If you have ideas of topics or guests you'd like us to interview, drop us a comment, and we'll see you next time.